Welcome back to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Sheriff Tompkins. Now, in the second half of the show, we have Eric Gaynor with us. He is the Executive Director of the Winthrop Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to talk about why Chamber of Commerces are so important, what it is they do, and how they work with their communities. Eric, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Sheriff, for having me.
Really appreciate you having here. So talk to us about a Chamber of Commerce. What is its mission?
You know, our mission is to bring businesses together and for them to connect and grow. I'd say that's the best way to put it. We also have, you know, the community aspect as well, where businesses come together and work cooperatively to do things to improve not just the business community, but in our case, our town as a whole. We feel like a rising tide raises all boats,
right.
And that's sort of the philosophy that we hold, and that's been our mission since the organization was founded in 1950. So it's been going on for a long time, and we try and stay true to our roots about, you know, bringing the businesses together to accomplish things that, you know, we could do as a group as opposed to individually.
So explain to us how you actually bring the businesses together. I mean, do you cold call them? Do you just show up at their door? What is it? What is the pitch that you give them to get them involved, for them to be civically active?
I think for most people, they want to give back into the community in which they are. It's also, I look at it as it's an investment in your business, because when the community around you is doing well, you do well. So business owners, as much as anyone, really have a stake, I think, in the community. And so it's pretty easy to get people on board, because they know that, especially in Winthrop, they don't look at other businesses necessarily as competitors. They want to see other businesses do well. That's what struck me the most, to be honest with you, when I took the position, was how there wasn't really this sort of cutthroat competitiveness. It was really like, hey, I want my neighbor to do well, because then it makes us all do better. So some of the things that we try to do are do events where we can bring some people down into our town to see what Winthrop's about, because one of our challenges in the town of Winthrop is a lot of people don't know where it is or how to get there, or don't have a reason to go through there, as there's only one way in, you know, actually two ways in and out.
Right.
So it can
So
be
let me ask you
difficult.
this. So when you say you try to attract people, are you talking about attracting people from outside of Winthrop, or the folks that actually live in Winthrop, or both?
Both. Being the fact that Winthrop's a peninsula, it's good and bad. It's a challenge, because for people outside of the community,
right,
to get them to come in is a little tricky, because it's not really like on any main thoroughfare. The people that do live in Winthrop are pretty good about, you know, supporting their local businesses, because it's difficult to actually sometimes, you know, get anywhere else. You know, you have to make a bit of a trip. So it has sort of like those two things to it. We like to bring people in because we have lots of really nice restaurants. We have a lot of beautiful beaches, parks, places that you could bring your family to. So a lot of people don't know that, because they've never actually been in the town. So
right,
we feel like just getting them in, the town kind of sells itself.
And how do you get them in? What is your advertising mechanism for getting folks in? And are you working throughout all of Suffolk County, you know, Boston, Chelsea, and Revere, to get folks to come into Winthrop?
Yeah, those would be kind of basically our secondary markets, you know, Revere, Chelsea, and East Boston.
Right.
And we hold events. For example, one thing we do in June, and it might sound kind of silly, but it actually brings in a ton of people, is we do a townwide yard sale, where we have over like 100 homes on one day. For the same time, we'll have a yard sale. And so it's
That doesn't sound silly. That sounds awesome. No, that's awesome.
If you like yard sales, like, it is pretty awesome, because you can, in Winthrop is such a dense community,
right,
that you can hit a lot
yeah,
of yard sales in a very short time, and you do not have to travel very far. In fact, in some places you can just walk across the street.
I was going to say, driving through Winthrop at that point must be a little difficult, getting all the cars through.
You know, it's funny, because the good thing about it is, since it's the yard sales at each person's home, it's kind of spread out, as opposed to doing it in one central location. Then it would probably be nutty. But this way, people are going to different places, different parts of town at different times. So it does seem to work out really well. We've had people come as far away from out of state, you know, because they hear, oh, 100 yard sales in, you know, 2 square miles, like, let's go. You know, so we try to do things like that. We do an event down at our beach once a year. It's a big family day. We do a big holiday festival the day after Thanksgiving. So we try to do things that give a reason for people to come down.
So being so small, it sounds like it's a very close-knit community, not just the business community, but just the community in its entirety. Would that be correct?
I would say so, yeah. People seem to really want to support each other. They know each other, and I find it to be very tight-knit, and it's a really nice atmosphere to work in, actually.
So now, as director or executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, talk to me about what you and other folks on the Chamber of Commerce, actually on the board, the executive board, what is it that you actually do?
Well, we have one thing that I think a lot of our members enjoy are the networking opportunities. So myself and our board will try and put several of those things together over the course of a year. They could be business card exchanges or after hours, or we even did a speed networking event not too long ago, and that was an opportunity for people to build relationships with their fellow business owners. You know, owning a business, sometimes you feel like you're out on an island by yourself. You know, it's so difficult. And so for you to be able to kind of like, make friendships with people that are sort of in the same boat as you, it's great. You know, there's a real sense of community amongst the business owners, which is nice. And that's what we try to foster. The other thing is we try and do, economic development initiatives. One thing that we try to do specifically is beautification, because we feel that's something tangible that we can do. We can't go in and run somebody's business, and we can't take over, a landlord's property and rent it out. But one thing that we feel like helps from the term of physical improvement is to plant flowers, and we put out new trash receptacles, we plant trees. Basically, we're trying to make our business districts cleaner and greener. That's sort of like something that we're trying to do to help maybe spur some investment in those areas.
So now you have different committees within the Chamber of Commerce. Talk to me about what the Finance Committee does.
The Finance Committee does a really good job of making sure that we have enough funds to carry out some of these initiatives. We do high school scholarships. We do a lot of things where we're giving back. We help sponsor like the fireworks, for example, for the 4th of July. And so that involves, a lot of fundraising that we do throughout the year. We put on a really good event in September called the Taste of Winthrop. And that has over 30 local restaurants. It's nothing new. I mean, a lot of communities have like a taste event, but the one that we put on attracts a lot of people, and it's really cool because it's a really good variety. But 100% of those proceeds, because there's really no cost, it's the restaurants who are being generous in donating their food. Every cent that people buy in terms of ticket sales goes right back into community, in this instance, beautification efforts. We're constructing a new Welcome to Winthrop sign, for example, which will be installed in a couple months. There's been a lot of work over on the Belle Isle Bridge recently, and that work is going to be finished soon. So we're going to have a nice new bridge as you come into town, and we're going to be putting up a new sign there too to go along with it.
So how closely do you work with the town manager? Because it sounds like some of what you do not only benefits the community, but it's also working with other entities within government.
It is. We have a really good relationship with town council in Winthrop and the town manager. He is very concerned about making sure that, in particular, like our business districts are viable. And we kind of obviously agree that it's not just about commerce, but these are places where people, your public spaces, where people come together. So of course we want places that are nice for business, but it represents your community. It's even people that don't own a business, they still have a stake in how these areas are doing. So we really want to make sure that they're vibrant. And so that's the challenge right now, and it's a challenge with a lot of small towns, not just Winthrop, but downtown areas in 2013 face a lot of challenges. So it's trying to adapt, and I think we've done a pretty good job because a lot of our businesses seem to be headed towards more like the service and hospitality industry. And that's the most important thing you can do is, 60 years ago when the Chamber first started out, it was a completely different animal. It was predominantly retail. Times have changed, so I think our businesses have sort of adjusted with it. So it's been pretty good, and the town manager, I think, is very much aware that you know, we need to change with the times.
So in tough economic times like the recent downturn that we had in economies across the country, what role does the Chamber of Commerce play when you talk about it's tough to get people to get out and spend money, it's tough to keep businesses up and vibrant? What part do you play in that? In revitalizing and getting people more stimulated to come out and support business?